opening kickoff here at McGill against Saskatchewan last year. A year ago, June, all the way for the touchdown as the Alouettes never looked back in that game. Week 10 continues. Underway and down at the 20 for Worthy. Tyson Philpott with it, has a good return across midfield. So Philpott, good receiver and special teamer. We saw that in his rookie last year, and good place to start for Caleb Evans, his first start, Dwayne, as a Montreal Alouette.
Yeah, and the fact is we've become so accustomed over the last couple of years to seeing Caleb Evans starting games for Ottawa. But the fact is this is a guy who is still a young, developing quarterback. So there are going to be some bumps in the road along the way. But for Montreal, obviously, happy to have a guy who has a little bit of experience, at least, with Cody Fajardo sidelined this week.
They start actually in Rider territory, but a flag does come out before they get the ball snapped. Justin McInnes is the referee for this one tonight.
Formation, Montreal. It's 5-yard penalty. Remains first down.
So I said they're going to start in Saskatchewan territory. Look at the fury there of the head coach Jason Moss. They will not. So even without getting it down, they're 5 yards further back into their own zone.
And more importantly than the field position, given where they are, is the down and distance situation it creates.
Of a 1st and 15 for Caleb Evans. His first start as a member of the Montreal Alouettes. Walter Fletcher in the backfield with the injury to William Stanback, and it goes in Fletcher's hands as he drives it up close to midfield. Gain of 3-4 yards as we take a look at that starting offense for Montreal.
Yeah, Landon Rice comes back in at right tackle. He was replaced last week by Jamar McGloster for the game in Hamilton. And as you mentioned, stealing my thunder, Rod Smith, Walter Fletcher in the backfield for a banged up William Stanback this week.
Had to bring it up.
I know.
He got the ball. See what he does this time around. 2nd and 11. Just underway here at Molson Stadium in Montreal. Out of shotgun Evans. With the pressure coming, he gets rid of it to the left, and it floats in for a completed pass down at the Saskatchewan 40. Good catch there for the Alouettes. And that's Tyler Sneed, rookie receiver with Montreal, bringing it in.
Tyler Sneed out of East Carolina. Explosive passing attack in that collegiate program. Just something that's allowed Sneed to fit in. Nice reach with that back foot. Keep it planted as he made the grab.
Up to the Rider 40 now. Caleb Evans. And a flag comes out. It goes back to Fletcher, and not much there. Little green and white wall there to greet him after about a yard. Charbel DeBeer is in there along with Micah Tights.
Procedure, no end. Montreal. That penalty is declined. 2nd down.
Second penalty of this game. That one declined, though, both of them against the Alouettes, and so it will be a 2nd and long coming up. As they playing around with the spot of the football now to the 39, so call it a 2nd and 9 after that short gain by Walter Fletcher. Playing in just his 2nd game with the Owls this season. Evans takes off. Another flag is out. Has a first down and more. Caleb Evans. Tights finally pushing him out of bounds, but not before a big run. Once again, we wait and see what that flag is all about. A gain of 28 for Caleb Evans.
Everybody seems to be walking back towards the line of scrimmage.
Saskatchewan. That penalty is declined. First down.
So the gain of 28 will stand. They were walking back, but now walking towards where Evans had taken them, and the Alouettes getting closer to that Saskatchewan end zone.
Yeah, it was Pete Robertson with the early jump. Regardless, that works to Montreal's advantage as they're trying to get that D-line upfield to set up for that quarterback draw. And again, I talked about Evans taking off on his own, maybe a little quicker than Fajardo would, but you may also see more called QB runs with him in the game.
Handing off that time. Goes back to Fletcher. Cuts it back inside. Walter Fletcher, when William Stanback was out for 4 months last year, really became a primo running back, both carrying the football and catching those short passes in space and getting a lot of yardage afterwards.
Yeah, and you certainly get a different dynamic with Walter Fletcher in the backfield, a guy who's more of a scat back as opposed to the downhill power back that is William Stanback. There you see number 31 for the Alouettes in street clothes today.
Hurt last week against Hamilton after his best performance of the season, got over 100 yards for the first time. Back to Fletcher inside the 5, 4, 3, and gets close to the 2-yard line. It was a 2nd and 4 and very close to 1st and goal. An interesting call here on 3rd down. It is a first down. A 1st and goal and close for Jason Moss's Montreal Alouettes.
Well, 3 cracks from the 2-yard line. Great opportunity here right out of the gate for Caleb Evans and the Alouettes offense.
From the Rider to Evans to Fletcher. And good defensive work up front. Pete Robertson had a handle on him, nearly lost it, but ends up pushing him back. Fletcher trying to drive his way in, but Robertson had other ideas.
Yeah, watch Robertson right from the very right side of your screen, crashing down into the backfield, quickly recognizes that the ball has been handed off. He's no longer worried about contain. He continues on to the running back. Terrific defensive play from the Riders' defensive end.
2nd and goal now at the Rider 2. Evans himself, and he punches it in. Caleb Evans with an early touchdown for the Montreal Alouettes. 2nd rushing touchdown of the season for number 5.
Line left no doubt with this one. Evans is going to slide to the left side of your screen behind the right side of his offensive line. He pounded in there easily. Nice execution on the sneak.
21st career rushing touchdown for Caleb Evans. He had 15, a CFL record for a quarterback last year with the Ottawa Red Blacks. This number 2 on this season, and this one comes as a starting quarterback back to cap off a 9-play 54-yard drive. And a big run by Evans of half of that yardage helped set this up. No Cody Fajardo with the Alouettes with Evans. Star different quarterback for the Alouettes to start this game, but an impressive start, Dwayne, in this opening drive for Caleb Evans.
Yeah, and a nice play call here for the Alouettes offensively. Quarterback draw in a 2nd and long situation. Walter Fletcher getting involved in the run game, finishing it off with a well-executed quarterback sneak to pound it in for the game's first score. Nice start for Caleb Evans, getting the nod tonight in place of an injured Cody Fajardo.
But close to 5 minutes, and the Riders yet to get the ball. There's ex-Alouette Mario Alfred back to return it for Saskatchewan. He settles down just inside the 20 and doesn't go too much further. He's taken down at the 30 for Mason Fine, engineering a dramatic last-second victory last week, setting up the field goal by Brett Lother, and that was win number 1 in his young CFL career. We're about to see Fine coming up in Montreal. A 37 in that game, and Lother capped off the final drive with the 54-yarder, his career best, and the Riders won it. Fine's first victory as a starter. This is his 4th start of the season, standing in for Trevor Harris, and puts it off to the right to Sean Bain, the leading receiver in the Canadian Football League in both catches and reception yardage. A short one there for the Rider offense.
Yeah, we'll take a look at this Rider offensive line. Logan Furlan, junior football product, has been a nice pickup over the last couple of years for this squad. We talked a lot about Tevin Jones and Sean Bain being among the league's top receivers this season, but don't overlook Samuel Emilus, just outside the top 10 in the league at number 11. He's had a nice breakout year as well.
2nd and 7 after the 3-yard gain by Bain. And looking off to the left and completing that one to one of the new receivers for the Roughriders. That is Jarrett Stearns, who had a great debut. He gets 9 yards there. He was targeted 7 times, caught 7 for 71 yards last week against the Red Blacks.
As they continue to, at the very least, build depth in that receiving corps. Some guys who maybe weren't that well known around the league coming into this season, getting an opportunity to make their mark.
Conference USA Player of the Year in 2021 out of Western Kentucky from the Saskatchewan 42. That's Tevin Jones, 4th in the Canadian Football League in receiving yards, and another short gain through the air, that time for Saskatchewan.
Taking a look at this Alouette defense. Mondo Sewell out of the lineup. Israel Entwine gets the start. Frederic Chagnon once again at middle linebacker with 4 tackles last week, filling in for Avery Williams. And on the back end, as you mentioned earlier, Marc-Antoine Dequoy had a big INT, pick 6 against Saskatchewan here a year ago.
Off Cody Fajardo.
Yes, sir.
A year ago, June. Last time they met here, 2nd and 7. Fine under pressure, and he takes off. Mason Fine on the run, and a flag comes out. The way he was brought down, it looks like this is going against Cordell Rogers for the way, or Bryce Notre, for the takedown there of Mason Fine. They sort that one out, but that was shy of a first down as he was taken down abruptly at the Saskatchewan 50.
You'll see the tail end. It was the initial contact from Notre. Lunging right hand catches that mask. That will greatly aid Saskatchewan's forward progress on their opening drive of the ball game.
It moves the ball to the Montreal 45. First down, Riders. Looks to go right, goes down the middle. Oh, and a good defensive play coming in. Reggie Stubblefield at the last second. Yeah, Reggie, it was that close. Knocking it away from what had been a big play for the Roughriders.
Well, trying to take advantage of the extra attention being given to Sean Bain. They're going to send him on the bubble screen, hoping that they'll get the defense to come forward trying to play that. Well, they send the other receivers vertical. You've got a shot looking for Stearns right down the seam. But there you see, just through the hands of Stubblefield, then through the hands of Stearns.
2nd and 10. Quickly. Oh, nearly intercepted by Stubblefield. Back-to-back plays, he had it go through his hands, and wondering what might have been there. But what it is for Saskatchewan coming up is a 3rd and 10 at the Alouette 45.
Yeah, this one just kind of ended up in no man's land in between a couple of Alouette receivers. Reggie Stubblefield getting lots of early touches here.
Now that would have been an impressive catch if somehow he was able to corral that. A little bit outside, but able to knock it away. So Mason Fine's set of downs is done as Adam Korsak is in to punt it away from midfield from Melbourne, Australia. Down inside the 10, and nowhere to go is Worthy. Good downfield coverage there for Nick Daly in his 2nd year with the Riders. Alouette lead. Caleb Evans at quarterback. Alouette ball too, but they're hemmed in deep.
And spending this year sticking around after practice and throwing reps with guys like James Letcher Jr. and Chandler Worthy to get familiar with the routes, because Cody's been taking the majority of the reps so far. So he's really been focused on those downfield play guys, and scoring off the initial drive. Well, that's a success.
Well, Kenzie, his backup Caleb Evans has had a good start here, and at quarterback for Montreal, and it's Walter Fletcher going left side and picks up about 5 yards with the 2nd down coming up for the Alouettes, but yet Cody Fajardo, the 6th all-time in passing yards for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, and you know he must have wanted this one badly. So there must be a significant enough injury that he cannot play in it.
Yeah, you would think an opportunity to play against your former team, but I mean the fact is we know Cody's a competitor and would, given the choice, suit up and get out there every game. But it's a long season, and you got to protect your assets. And an experienced starting quarterback is certainly that in today's CFL.
4-man rush, and they've got him. Caleb Evans is sacked, and that is Miles Brown who picks it up. The Riders had 6 sacks against Dustin Crum and the Ottawa Red Blacks last week. One of the top sack units in the Canadian Football League.
Here you see big Miles Brown, the interior of that defense. Nice swim move to the inside to beat Christian Matt. Taking the inside gap, shortest route to the quarterback.
First time Evans has been sacked as an Alouette. That's the 30th sack allowed by Montreal, worst in the Canadian Football League. And with that, Joseph Zima, also from Melbourne, Australia. Kick it away from the Alouette end zone. So Riders down 7. We get the ball in good shape here for Alford. The Montreal 45 and takes it down to the 40. So back comes Mason Fine. And that's Saskatchewan offense. Evans taken down by Brown. We'll be back in Montreal. And the Roughriders trailing 7-0 with the ball, though, to start in Montreal's zone at the Alouette 41. Fine is 3 for 5 for 15 yards. And handing off Jamal Morrow. Keeps his feet, gets a first down and more for Morrow inside the Montreal 30 and a gain of 13.
Just tacking straight on here. Nice job by Colin Kelly, the right tackle, widening his man, creating a seam there for Jamal Morrow to turn it up.
The Riders come in surprisingly 9th in terms of average rush gain. That'll certainly help their average there as they get the first on the ground and back in the hands of Morrow as he drives down to about the 25 to set up a 2nd and long coming up now. Call it 6 to go for the Roughriders.
It's been an ongoing storyline for Saskatchewan this year, trying to get Jamal Morrow in that run game somewhat untracked.
At the Alouette 24. Blitz coming, gets rid of it, little low for Bain, can't get that right around what would have been first down yardage, and instead the field goal unit and Brett Lothar will be coming on.
We've seen a couple times now down in this part of the field. Mason Fine has just been a little off target. Some encouragement over there on the sidelines from assistant coach Andre Bolduc, former Alouettes assistant, former Sherbrooke head coach.
He had the winning field goal in the dying seconds last week at Mosaic from 54. This much shorter for Brett Lothar, who puts that one through from 32 yards away, and the first points on the board for the green and white in this one in Montreal, cutting the Alouette lead to 4 with 3:18 to go on the clock until first quarter time.
Well, obviously lots of talk in terms of Alouette's injuries about Cody Fajardo being out of the lineup and Caleb Evans taking over under center, but another big change in that backfield as well, with William Standback on the sidelines. Which gives Walter Fletcher an opportunity to carry the load today. See his numbers from 2022.
And good running numbers, but let's not forget the receiving numbers as well, as they often throw him short passes and let him add to those offensive totals for Montreal for a good chunk of the season while Standback got better. Standback with a hip injury and not able to play tonight. Faking the handoff and rolling out to the right is Caleb Evans with lots of time. Micah Johnson chasing him down, and he thinks better of that as he just throws it away and still gets a bit of a rough escort out of bounds with big Micah there, and the crowd doesn't like it.
Well, Micah Johnson ended up in an interesting matchup on this play, as it's the diminutive receiver Tyler Sneed who has to make his way down into the formation. You're going to see him come from the bottom left. What do you mean I got to block that guy? Gets enough of Micah Johnson to slow him down.
Got in his way for a while. So thrown away at a 2nd and 10 at the Alouette 40. 4-man rush. Stepping up. Looks to shuffle it off there to Fletcher. Instead, he keeps it. And he ends up picking up about 6 yards, still well shy of a first down up across the Montreal 45. Punting unit to come on.
Evans kept the eyes downfield for a while, but got to a point where he was clearly thinking run all the way on that one. Just communication there on the sidelines with his receivers. Hoping to get things ironed out for the next possession. In the meantime, the Owls will punt it away.
The ever-dangerous Mario Alford, who had some explosive returns as an Alouette, certainly as a Rider. And that one by Zima. A little tricky as it heads way over inside the 20. It's 48 yards. That punt by Zima. And didn't give the Riders and Alford much of a chance there as it sends it back inside the 20 for Fine and Saskatchewan to get started.
Very different than their earlier starting field position in Montreal territory. A little misdirection there from the Alouettes punter, taking it into open space, getting that ball on the ground. Making life difficult for Alford and the return unit.
Mason Fine 3 for 6, still just 15 yards passing in this one. He ended up at 296 last week against Ottawa and over 300 in BC, or touchdown Atlantic against the Argos before that. That first down play, gain of 5.
Just a high percentage behind the line of scrimmage. Pass there for the Roughriders, because they try to help Mason Fine find a little bit of a rhythm throwing the ball.
2nd and 5 now. Rider 21 rolls out to the left, has to get away, and he does, and he puts his head down and pushes past Raheem Wilson, who's playing his first game since last October. As Fine picks up a first down for Saskatchewan. First down on the ground at the Rider 27. This could be the last play of the first quarter. Morrow, right side, has an opening, breaks back, still going. Jamal Morrow is running well so far as he picks up 7 more yards with 1 second left to go until quarter time, and a second short coming up here for the Rider.
Jamal Morrow ran through a couple of arm tackles on that one. Pick up nice first down yardage.
Fine took over as the Riders starting quarterback a month ago after the injury to Trevor Harris. This is his 5th start. 2nd and short. Doesn't go with Morrow. He dumps it off to Bain, who has trouble getting that first down yardage. J.R. Reed and Marc-Antoine Dubois are there to limit the gain to 0, and now a 3rd and short coming up when the second quarter begins. A game that started well for the Alouettes with Caleb Evans getting the start instead of Cody Fajardo at quarterback. They drove down, scored the touchdown. 7 of them by the Alouettes scored fairly early in that quarter, and it was really the running game, namely Caleb Evans, Wayne, that was getting it done with 35 yards.
Yeah, big play on that scoring drive, of course, for Caleb Evans with a quarterback draw, where he picked up some nice yardage and he punched it in on the QB sneak. So an element that he can add that Montreal, we know Cody Fajardo can run with the football, but I think Montreal certainly is less hesitant to run with Evans in the football game, and they've taken advantage of that early.
Fajardo looks like some encouraging words to Caleb Evans in this one so far. Fajardo suffering that non-throwing shoulder injury last week in Hamilton in that fourth quarter comeback victory over the Tiger Cats. So Caleb Evans, who for a while was the #1 quarterback in Ottawa because of injuries last year, because of the injury to Jeremiah Masoli, who got injured in Saskatchewan. Evans took over then and had several starts, and also got some starts the year before in his rookie season out of Louisiana Monroe. And so Cody Fajardo standing by Jason Moss. Those two were with the Roughriders last year. And watching the Rule team start the second quarter in punt position. A flag coming out right near where Chandler Worthy is standing.
Time count violation. Saskatchewan, number 10. It's 5-yard penalty. Remains third down.
As the Riders will punt from a little further back for Adam Korsak. The ball being placed at the 30. They quickly get up over the ball before the snap by Jorgen Hughes and the punt from Korsak. And Worthy, and another great punt, giving the returners no option at all, and a 55-yarder. Well, two Melbourne punters, Korsak and Zima, one trying to up the other one there. Korsak beautifully getting that done to the right and chasing Worthy out of bounds on the catch.
Let's see a little glimpse into the wonderful world of special teams play. Jeshurun Antwi giving University of Regina product, the rookie Jackson Ford, little welcome to the CFL.
Antwi from the University of Calgary. Canada West action there. On the ground is Walter Fletcher getting the start with the injury to William Stanback. Picks up a few more yards coming into that carry with 21, and picks up 4 more for a 2nd and 6 coming up here for the Alouettes, who outscored Hamilton last week at Tim Hortons Field 18-0 in the fourth quarter, coming back to win that game. So a comeback victory, a very different one than the Riders had when they had to pull it out in the final minute. But both of these teams victorious last week. 2nd and 6. Setting up a screen. It is Fletcher with room. First down and more. Walter Fletcher still going inside the 40, the 30. Nick Marshall and Jeremy Clark finally taking Fletcher down inside the Saskatchewan 15.
You gotta love it. High percentage play. A short pass from Evans to Fletcher, who's lined up in the backfield beside his quarterback. You see them getting the convoy set out in front. Christian Matt, Justin Lawrence get the kickouts. Walter Fletcher bobbing and weaving his way down the field for the biggest play of the game so far.
A gain of 68 yards. Walter Fletcher in just his 2nd game this season, filling in for Stanback, and gets it down to the Rider 14. Low snap on the shotgun and into the hands of Jeshurun Antwi. Mentioned him on special teams. Carries the ball that time, and a good carry it is for Antwi to get it inside the 5.
And we'll see if Antwi gets a few extra touches and looking to pick up some of the slack with Stanback sidelined. He was the guy who carried the load a couple of years ago when Stanback went down.
We remember it was opening day in Calgary when Stanback got hurt, and Antwi back home in Calgary busted off a 70-yard run in that game for the Alouettes. So he nearly got the first down. As they say, inside the 5. It's 2nd and inches now. The Rider 4, and Evans just keeps it himself, and he drives down not only a 1st and goal, but down near the goal, near the 1-yard line for Caleb Evans, who's all too familiar with that short yardage scenario.
Sarah, the regular goal line short yardage quarterback. once again making his first start of the season tonight. Jason Moss and the Owls.
The backup QB now is Davis Alexander, although we do see Fajardo dress, so that would remain to be seen. But as long as it's Evans, he is short yardage as well. On the 1st and goal, Caleb Evans, does he break the plane awaiting a signal? Not quite there. The 2nd and goal coming up.
Well, potentially a big stand here for this Saskatchewan Roughrider defense. But Pete Robertson was the first across the line, taking out the legs of some Alouette blockers.
Well, they'll try it again. Evans, big package in, pushing his way in, and another touchdown for Caleb Evans as the Alouettes add to their lead.
A second effort here gets Evans across the line as he was able to keep his feet.
Caleb Evans, we're used to seeing him in that final scenario, looking to finish off a touchdown drive. He'd done it once before with the Alouettes and many times in Ottawa in his 2 years there, but he's leading the drives and he is finishing the drives. His 2nd touchdown of the night is Devin Cote has the point after. And another drive set up by one big play in particular, this one, dumping it off to Walter Fletcher. 68 yards later, he had the Alouettes close to the end zone again, and it was taken in by Caleb Evans in a 14-3 lead.
Clearing the road for that big gain that set up the touchdown.
Well, the passing stats, 2 for 3 for 83 yards, but his rushing stats with 40 yards, including a longest of 27 and a couple of touchdowns, say a lot for what Evans has been able to do and help the Alouettes do in this one. Mario Alford on the return, and he is greeted there by Alex Gagne, ex-Rider, taking him down on special teams up across the Saskatchewan 30. And a flag coming out. 10 minutes to go until halftime. Rider ball down 11. 2nd quarter. And on the ground again to Jamal Morrow, and that time middle linebacker Frederick Chagnon taking over in the middle after the injury to Avery Williams. Chagnon with the tackle and a gain of just 1.
Yeah, we've seen both Chagnon and Bryce Notary getting some snaps in that spot. Chagnon 4 tackles, season high for him last week.
Crowd picks up here at McGill on a 2nd and 9 from the Rider 43. Oh, the heat was coming from Tyrese Beverette as it was floating down to Tevin Jones, as Beverette had just gotten in on Mason Fine as he got it away. And Riders fortunate to see that one fall incomplete on a 3rd and 9.
You see Beverette sneaking up here. Got tight off that edge. Unblocked man into the backfield, gets the arm of the quarterback, causing that pass to just flutter up harmlessly. Tevin Jones very nearly bailed out Mason Fine.
So Adam Korsak to punt it away. And once again, way off to the sideline, takes a bounce off Worthy. And punters continue to make life miserable for the returners.
What if I run away to Mars? Would you find me in the stars? Would you miss me?
Jason Moss and the Alouettes, they're enjoying a 14-3 lead. And for Caleb Evans, this is his 7th career game with 2 rushing touchdowns, has both of them for the Owls tonight. Taking over now with Walter Fletcher. The big gain last drive. He has a big one here on the ground. Fletcher still going. Gets up across the Montreal 45 and a pickup of 20 yards for Fletcher in the Owls.
And take a look at the patience from Walter Fletcher on this one. They're adding an extra gap for the Riders to defend. Just a little hesitation, then when things open up, he explodes through that hole, very nearly able to turn the corner. Safety Jaden Dalkey is the one who forced him out of bounds.
With that, Walter Fletcher, if you combine the receiving and rushing yards, is over 100 so far in this game. And back on the ground again, across the 50, and then he meets a wall and he's taken down. Larry Dean, Pete Robertson there. But he's provided a strong test for that Rider defense in this one.
You see Saskatchewan defensive coordinator Jason Shivers to find a way to contain the very dangerous Walter Fletcher in this one.
And on a game where William Stanback and Cody Fajardo both hurt and can't play, they've done a good job, Montreal has, in establishing a running game. Tyson Philpott, his first catch of this game. Picks up a first down in Rider territory at the midway point of the second quarter.
And there you see Jason Shivers. So, of course, he and Alouettes head coach Jason Moss have been on the same staff in Saskatchewan together the last couple of years. But interesting, as we talked to Moss about it this week, he said, you know, we talked a lot about our philosophies on football. And, of course, you have familiarity with the players on that defense from watching them practice. But he said until this year, because he wasn't coaching against them, he was never thinking about how to scheme to beat them. But the way things are going for the Owls so far, it looks like he may have come up with a few ideas pretty quickly.
Jeshrin Antwi remains the ball carrier, and he got it that time, and he is pushed back. That's Pete Robertson again. Another good play on a running play for the Rider defensive end, known for his pressure on quarterbacks, coming into this one with 4 sacks, a loss of 3 yards.
Robertson once again crashing down.
A little help from Miles Brown there,
Brown,
too.
Yeah, Brown, the first one to cause a disruption in that backfield.
So a 2nd and 13 after Antwi lost 3. Shy midfield, toss inside, and they try to take advantage of Worthy's skill in the open field if he could have got there, but he does not. Nick Marshall coming in, a loss of 2, and so a good series for that Rider defense overall as the punting unit will come on.
Yeah, there's that quick little inside shovel. But Marshall recognizing the motion with Worthy coming his way. It's a good thing because the D end on that side, Anthony Lanier, came down hard into the backfield, ran right past him.
So Zima this time will give Alford a chance, standing back at his 5. He goes short side, and not much there though, as Gagne is back to push the ex-Alouette out of bounds after a 48-yard punt. Beautiful Montreal. Nice clear skies above on Friday Night Football, but that never affected the relationship of Mason Fine and Cody Fajardo. Once again, here's Kenzie.
Mason Fine has the utmost gratitude for Cody Fajardo and how he handled the changing of the tight end quarterback in Saskatchewan. He said his support and positivity meant so much to him. And when you ask Cody and you ask Mason about their then offensive coordinator Jason Moss, they say the same thing. Moss had our backs. For Cody, it was through the roller coaster of battling the injury and the game at hand, and then for Fine when he had to step up and instill confidence in him to become the starting guy. Now here they are with a second opportunity in Montreal for Fajardo and Moss, and they're ready to get to work.
Kenzie Fine takes off there. Couldn't find a receiver downfield, but he's slow to get up, getting some help from Sean Bain as he limps. My goodness, and then he goes down again, so favoring his right leg.
They seem to just go down awkwardly at the end of this play. You see his pressure's closing. He looks to slide.
You could see him wince on that second last, just the plant of the right foot. Mentioned favoring the right leg, tried to get up and then going down, and it's all too familiar a sight for certainly the Riders, who lost Trevor Harris a month ago, but just quarterback injuries in general. And Jake Dolegala, who came on late in touchdown Atlantic, threw a touchdown pass late in that game and a loss to the Argos, coming on now as Fine is still getting attention down on the field here at Molson Stadium. And you know, it doesn't matter what team you're on, that's just a sight nobody wants to see, and as mentioned, all too familiar so far this season.
Mason Fine on his feet, but clearly not moving very well. As you mentioned, Dolegala, 4 of 5 for 100 yards in his relief appearance in Halifax. Yeah, something just seemed to give on him as he planted to try to turn the corner there.
Bain had helped him up, and he quickly went down, and some concern for his friend. Still close friends. They talk a lot. Kenzie talk about their relationship, even now on different teams, and Cody Fajardo and Mason Fine, who was his backup and took his spot late last season in the final 2 games. So Dolegala is on. 2nd and 7 at the Rider 24. Under 5 minutes to go until halftime. Riders down 11. Dolegala, tall quarterback, stands in, fires that one complete to Jarrett Stearns. A couple of catches in this game, 9 more yards for Stearns. You mentioned touchdown Atlantic, and a classic pocket passer, standing at 6'7", and a big arm as well. We saw that in Halifax.
Yeah, those passes, the only ones he's thrown so far this season, but unique in the world of CFL quarterbacks.
4-man rush. Not as mobile as Mason Fine, but he does take off and gets up to the 35. So a 2nd down coming up, a pickup of 3.
And I think regardless of whether you are a runner per se or not, there is a need in the Canadian Football League to be able to use your legs a little bit. Whether it's just buying time in the pocket, or when things break down, having an ability to still turn those breakdowns into positive plays by tucking the ball.
In his 2nd year out of Central Connecticut, Dolegala. Oh, it's intercepted by Kabian Ento, and he's still on his feet. Ento pushing it down towards the Rider 25, and quickly Dolegala comes on, and the Riders this time have coughed up the ball. Ento with his 2nd interception. The other one went for a touchdown earlier this season.
We're going to look. There is the ball, just a little bit off the mark inside the receiver. That allows Ento to step up and make a play. 2 weeks removed from his first CFL touchdown, a pick 6. A couple of weeks back. Nice find that he's been out of the University of Colorado.
And there was an injured Alouette on that play. Tyrell Richards is still down on the field. As on the sideline, the Alouettes give their congratulations to rookie out of Colorado, Kabian Ento, CFL rookie. Same school as Alouette teammate, Mustafa Johnson.
Happy birthday, baby. Come on, tell him. Happy birthday. Happy birthday.
And he has found a spot on the corner for that Alouette defense.
Ento started his career at Colorado as a receiver. He's going to be working against the #1 receiver here. That's Emlis on the outside. But watch once Ento breaks, he never slows down. Just a straight sprint to the ball. Ball's thrown inside the receiver.
Faking the handoff is Evans. Rolling out to his right. Looking downfield into the end zone. It's intercepted. Amari Henderson has it. So the Alouettes give it right back as he is hit hard. Taken down But one pick deserves another one as we get inside 3 minutes and the warning. So no harm after that pick thrown by Dolegala. Evans throws one to Amari Henderson with his second interception of the season. Rider ball, 3-minute warning in the first.
Coming up, the boys are going to be talking about the missed opportunities by the Saskatchewan Roughriders, the injury to Mason Fine, and then Milt was going to be doing the conservative play of Caleb Evans. You still doing that, Milt?
Yeah. I think so, Kate.
Okay.
I think so.
Roger that. I think so.
Kate, as I recall, Milt wanted to see Caleb Evans run the football. He's been doing that. This got picked off, though, so Rider ball and going outside with it, Jamal Morrow, and he has nowhere to go. Coming in there for Montreal is Cordell Rogers.
Back-to-back interceptions here. Cabianento gets Montreal the ball, setting up his offense in scoring position, but Caleb Evans kind of floats this one into the end zone, looking for Tyler Sneed. Plenty of time there for Amari Henderson to react and get to the rock.
Bringing into that Owl defense back on the field. Now a 2nd and 8. Late in the first half, 2:40 in the clock, and the Riders are deep in their zone from the 8. Jake Dolegala in for the injured Mason Fine. Oh, that one's nearly picked off. Goes too far, and Wesley Sutton coming in nearly had himself an interception. And instead, the Riders will have to punt it away from their end zone.
Yeah, keep an eye on Sutton, bottom of your screen, right in the middle. Overthrow here by Dolegala, apparently looking for the crossing route. Sutton unable to get there.
So Chandler Worthy will stand at midfield. Plenty of time on the clock. And an opportunity for the Alouettes, although we do have a challenge flag out from Craig Dickinson. A little discussion now with the referee, Justin McInnes.
Saskatchewan is challenging the previous play for defensive pass interference. The play will be reviewed.
On that overthrow, the apparent overthrow by Dolegala. See what happened to his receivers on that play. The Riders obviously seeing something.
Yeah, my best guess, keep an eye on the free safety back here, Marc-Antoine Dequoy, and Sean Bain, who's going to run an underneath crossing route. As Bain crosses, Dequoy comes downhill a little bit on him, gives him a bit of a bump. It seems to distract Bain as the ball is en route to him.
You saw Bain signaling he wanted a flag out for that. Just caught his right arm as he's coming across a little bit there. Enough for a flag?
I think he'll draw a flag. Just the timing of it. You can see how it turns Bain's body at a time when he's looking for the football. He has no opportunity to adjust to make a play on it. But we'll wait to hear what the experts have to say. Meantime, Craig Dickinson looking to try and get some momentum for his offense here.
So here's the decision from the command center.
After review, the ruling on the field stands. Saskatchewan will be charged a timeout. 3rd down.
And that, along with my highly lucrative deal with TSN, is why I don't officiate games.
You're saying you lost the challenge too?
I lost the challenge too.
And you too have lost a timeout. So instead, 3rd and 8, punting from the end zone is Adam Korsak. Late in the first half. For Chandler Worthy coming in. The 44 flags out. Find a bit of space going across, but still outside the 40, and after a 36-yard punt from Korsak. On comes Caleb Evans
No
again.
yards. Saskatchewan, number 24. It's 15-yard penalty, first down.
So the no yards, add 15 to that, and a great place for the Alouettes to start this drive late in the first half. Not the most impressive passing stats for Caleb Evans, but the running is certainly made up for that, and a big play to Walter Fletcher to get them down in a hurry earlier on in this quarter, a 68-yard gain.
And the Alouettes unable a few minutes ago to take advantage of an interception by Cabionento that set them up right in this part of the field. Get another chance courtesy of the 15-yard no yards penalty on that punt out of the end zone.
So the ball's placed just inside the right hash for Montreal at the 28 of Saskatchewan, 2:25 in the clock, and handing off. It's Walter Fletcher. Biggest gain for him coming on a screen pass earlier and setting up second down inside the 25. The third Western team that Montreal has hosted so far this season. A couple of weeks ago beat Calgary. Before that, lost here to Winnipeg. Oh, great work up front by Anthony Lanier. The takedown Walter Fletcher in the backfield. Lanier coming off a brilliant game against Ottawa when he had 3 sacks and had missed a chunk of the season with injury.
And Lanier, who previously played a lot of his snaps on the inside, seeing action on the edge here, and as you mentioned, continuing a string of big plays from that position. Great range, a guy who wreaks real havoc in terms of the pass rush as well. It's good to see him get rewarded after a lot of hurries in the early going. Get those 3 sacks last week.
So Cote is on, put 3 more on the board for the Alouettes, which he does from 33 yards. David Cote of Laval as halftime gets closer, and it's up to a 14-point lead. Kate, Milt, Maddie, and Jim, and some thoughts on that first half as Week 10 continues here on Friday Night Football. Halftime, back to the panel. The week will continue tomorrow with Calgary at BC, and we're going to be in Toronto for the Argos and Ottawa Redblacks, who lost to these Riders at Mosaic last week dramatically. Dolegala at quarterback. Jake Dolegala. The backup is in because of an injury earlier in this quarter to Mason Fine, an apparent right leg injury. Gives it to Morrow, who finds some space and up near midfield on a first down for Saskatchewan. A gain of 13, 1:36 to go on the clock.
And that's exactly what the Saskatchewan Roughriders needed, not just in terms of getting Jamal Morrow going, but giving Jake Dolegala a little bit of a chance to take a deep breath here.
Blitz coming, gets it away, flag is out. The intended receiver is Samuel Emelis. Ento's with him. Falls incomplete, and is this coming against the Riders?
Holding Saskatchewan, number 64. It's 10-yard penalty, remains first down.
They get the veteran left guard Evan Johnson in his 6th season in the CFL on the whole.
See Johnson in his left guard position. Mustafa Johnson got underneath him a little bit, hands on the outside, and the shoulder pads make it an easy call.
So a 1st and 20 as they push him back. Late in this first half, it is Bain getting some of it back, a gain of 9. So a 2nd and long, 2nd and 11 still coming up for the Riders as the clock gets a little closer here to halftime, 1:18. And that was Sean Bain's 50th catch of the year. Quieter game for him compared to the previous ones for Bain, but what a story he has been coming in as the leading receiver in the CFL. Dolegala steps up with time. Deep ball into coverage. intended for former Alouette Jake Winicky. First target for Winicky, who had 3 years in Montreal, led them in touchdowns in both 2019 and 21.
And you'll see Winicky kind of switching shoulders, looking outside first, and trying to relocate the ball. Unable to get there. Dolegala not happy with that toss.
And so, punting unit back on. 101. Will the Alouettes get another chance in this final minute of the first half? Well, they are deep. It's Worthy inside the 10, and great coverage. Looked like they'd knocked him down initially with Deontay Williams, but a punt of 48 yards by Corsack as Worthy gets out a little bit further across the 10 for Caleb Evans. 4 for 6, 90 yards and a pick. But 2 rushing touchdowns, led 2 impressive drives that account for this 14-point lead by Montreal as halftime beckons. His debut was in September 2021 with the Ottawa Redblacks. He passed for under 200 yards, but he had 3 touchdowns, no picks, and he had an impressive day running the football. You could tell right from the get-go how effective he can be when he calls his number, uses his legs. Jeshurun Antwi, the running back, he has the ball, and he has some yardage too to get it up close to the 20. Antwi, and a gain of 8, 43 seconds to go until halftime.
We mentioned the patience earlier from Walter Fletcher running the ball. Similar look here for Jeshurun Antwi. He's taking his time, picking, allowing the offensive line blocks to be set up before he then turns it up a gear to hit the hole.
The difference in the rushing yards, a 50-yard difference in Montreal's favor. As Evans stands under center in short yardage, under half a minute to go in the 2nd and 2. Jason Moss, we talked about Cody Fajardo. This guy has to mean something to him as well as Saskatchewan's former offensive coordinator. An offense that took a lot of heat. He took a lot of heat at the end of last season and moved on, as did his quarterback, Cody Fajardo. The Riders clearly wanted to go in a different direction and ended up signing the ex-Alouette, Trevor Harris. Pre-season, you could have looked at this game in the calendar and thought of the possibility of Harris versus Fajardo in different uniforms, but in this case, neither able to play in this one.
Well, that's kind of been the story of the first half of this 2023 Canadian Football League season.
11 quarterbacks injured, Dwayne, in the last 7 weeks, 5 in the last 2. We have an offensive lineman, Nick Callender, injured there. But Kenzie talked about it too with Cody Fajardo. We take a look first of all at what happened here in the short yardage play.
Yeah, a lot of big bodies there. You see Callender getting bent back a little bit. Helmet knocked off, knee to the head. They had taken a bit of a shot in the eye there.
As we watch Callender now up and getting helped off, but as Kenzie was talking about the schedule ahead for Montreal with Cody Fajardo, and they do want to be careful because they have a game in Ottawa, an important division game coming up, and then they go to Winnipeg. They've got BC here. They've got a home and home against the Argos. So
yeah,
this is a pretty meaty part of the sked coming up for Jason Moss, and he wants his quarterback healthy.
Yeah, certainly it's a big picture decision. You don't want to be short-sighted in terms of managing the healthier quarterback. As I said off the top, an experienced starting quarterback at this time of year in this season's Canadian Football League is a very valuable commodity.
Clock ticking down, and on a 3rd and 1, and yeah, short yardage formation, but really more about killing the clock until halftime now for Caleb Evans, and a good first half overall for the Montreal Alouettes. Still
Time count violation. Montreal, number 5. It's a 10-yard penalty. Remains 3rd down.
happy to take the time count, and then run the final play of the first half. The opening
Timer, please reset the clock to 2.7 seconds.
Adding a critical 1.7 seconds there.
Well, if they can't find a way to run all of those seconds off the clock before taking a knee or getting out of bounds,
then they have bigger problems. Caleb Evans, his first start as a Montreal Alouette, and just kills that time and chucks it away. And 14th start of his career, but this one going his way so far with a couple of touchdown drives that he has finished off himself with short runs. So for Jason Maas, doesn't have a starting quarterback, and for the Riders, they have lost another quarterback in Mason Fine with their third stringer in the start of the season. Anyway, Jake Dolegala, the backup, coming in tonight. There's a look more at what Kavian Ento did in this first half when Dolegala came on in his first set of downs. It was Ento snuffing that out with a pick, and he now is standing yards, which really hurt the Rough Riders and leading to a bigger hole.
yeah, absolutely. Couple of plays that stand out in terms of generating the Alouette touchdowns. You think about the Caleb Evans quarterback draw, and of course that screen pass to Walter Fletcher. Two plays that are basically designed to take advantage of an aggressive pass rush. They were able to do that. Turned into big plays going the other way that led to Alouette majors.
But it's the Rider offense with a bigger hill to climb, you would think now, trailing by 14, and that is Thomas Bertrand Houdon on the return for Saskatchewan. So they get the ball to start the second half. Here's a sample of what the Alouette defense did to Saskatchewan.
Yeah, it seemed in the first half of this football game as if both Saskatchewan quarterbacks were just a little off in terms of their accuracy. You saw it there, the ball thrown inside MLS. Maybe an Ento stepping up to make a play on that one.
So on Noel Thorpe, defensive coordinator Jake Dolegala, the tall quarterback for Saskatchewan, taking over for the injured Mason Fine, and they go to the ground. The handoff there to Jamal Morrow, who had 6 carries for 40 yards in that first half and picks up 5 more yards there, and a second down coming up for the product of Central Connecticut, Jake Dolegala.
Yeah, and quite frankly, an opportunity here for Jake Dolegala. You see offensive coordinator Kelly Jeffrey, longtime U Sports coach, got his start in Canadian football at Mount Allison University. First year as the OC of the Riders.
Morrow is nowhere to go. A lot of Alouettes up at the line and coming in, and it's J.R. Reed, the strong side linebacker, who initially got to him and just waited for some help as they pushed him back. And Cordell Rogers in there as well, as the Rider offense was going nowhere on that play.
Yeah, this one was in trouble right from the start. Alouettes loading up the line of scrimmage. There you see 3 guys right at the point of attack. Even Jamal Morrow with nowhere to go.
A loss of 10 for the Riders. Chandler Worthy back. Adam Korsak, the punter for Saskatchewan, who has had a busy game. Oh, they nearly got to it there. Some pressure coming up in the middle there for the Alouettes, but he gets it away, and Worthy has it, and Worthy has a good return too. He's not taken down until he gets close to midfield. Hughes, the long snapper, in on the tackle there on special teams. So Caleb Evans in, and a solid first half running, and a couple of completions as well, but that sets up this Evans for one of his 2 touchdowns to win.
Yeah, and we know Caleb Evans is an athletic QB. We've certainly seen that in terms of a couple of the runs we've had tonight. But yeah, considering that the majority of his 90 yards through the air, over 60 of those came on the screen pass to Walter Fletcher.
Montreal on first down, running 12 times out of 17. Getting nothing on that one. The gain of exactly 0 for Walter Fletcher. So a second down coming, but yeah, 12 runs. This is heading in first half. 12 runs, 4 passes, and 1 penalty on first down for the Alouettes in that first 30 minutes.
And Saskatchewan looking like they were able to key on that somewhat, as they were sure ready for the first down run to start this second half.
Snead out wide to the right. Evans with time. Deep shot. Over the middle perfectly to Austin Mack. His first catch in this game, and it's a big one. It's an Alouette touchdown. The third leading receiver in the CFL, and he had had a quiet game until now. 56 yards for another Montreal touchdown.
Yeah, and I was afraid when Caleb Evans let go of this football that he was floating it much like the interception into the end zone that was intended for Tyler Snead. But it ends up being a ball with perfect touch as he drops it in nicely to Austin Mack just over the outstretched fingertips of the defender. Mack does the rest, getting the Alouettes their third major of the night.
Cote for the point after. Austin Mack, heading into the week, was leading the CFL in receiving yards a game at 85.9. Well, with 0 in the first half, looked like that average was going down. Certainly got a bit of a bump right there on 1 catch. In for the touchdown, 56 yards. Alouettes now up 24-3. One here.
Yeah, it certainly is, and you'll see Caleb Evans, just as Mack is about to come open, spots him there, leads him into that open space between levels of coverage. Dropping it in nicely, and Mack with a good effort after the catch takes it to the house.
Coming in, he had 38 catches for just over 600 yards and a couple of touchdowns, quickly adding to that total on 1 play, a 56-yarder for his 3rd TD of the season, and Alford on the return up to the Rider 30.
Take a look here as you'll see Mack starts off on the outside. Little bit of a collision here before he works underneath. At that point, you'll see the weak side linebacker, Tights, looks to come in. So Mack starts to sneak it upfield a little bit. That's where Evans leads him. Tights is unable to redirect. He's anticipating the in or the crossing route. Unable to redirect on a deep enough angle. Evans gets it over top of him. Mack takes it in for the score.
Back to Dolegala. Riders offense in a big hole now. 21 points. Tevin Jones, the 4th leading receiver in the CFL. Talking about prominent receivers having quiet nights, him as well. As Jones picks up a gain of 8. Just his 2nd catch in this game.
And regardless of the way things have gone tonight, you've got to be somewhat impressed by the Saskatchewan receiving corps. Certainly lining up a little bit differently than what they would have expected at the start of the year, but when you look at what the combination of Sean Bain, Tevin Jones, and Samuel Emelis have done, 3 of the top 11 receivers in the Canadian Football League so far.
That was a gain of 8, a 2nd and 2 in the hands of Morrow. First down easily and more. Jamal Morrow gets up to the Rider 45 before he is pushed back, taken down, and a gain of 8 more yards for Morrow.
Well, there just seems to be this inconsistency to the Riders' run game, and again, it has been an ongoing storyline through the first half of this season. They just haven't been able to get going running the ball, but you see flashes like that, good productive runs, but they just aren't able to sustain it.
From the Rider 45 and a first down and a deep look down the left, and nearly caught inside the Montreal 25. Samuel Emelis, the intended receiver. Good coverage by the Alouettes, but Emelis did have a shot with that ball coming down.
No doubt Emelis would have loved to have come down with this one. Hometown guy, a Montreal kid. Played his Cégep football at Vanier College. in behind Ento, but you see the range of Marc-Antoine Dequoy coming over from his free safety spot to break that one up.
Good coverage there, Dequoy and Ento, and that's complete. And across midfield, and a first down for the Riders. Pickup of 12 on that one. We go back to Emelis.
Emelis, first round pick a year ago for the Riders.
So one play later, that turns out to be his first catch of the night. Dolegala, Alouette territory. They come in on the blitz and they have him. It is Tyrese Beverett wreaking havoc again as he fires straight up and takes Dolegala down for a big loss.
Now things closing down on Dolegala all over. You'll see Beverett coming from the bottom of your screen, but Sean Lemon coming from up top is the first one to get there.
I said Beverett, it's the Lemonator who had 2 sacks last week in Hamilton in just his second game with the Alouettes, doing it again. Sean Lemon, what a story he is, as he waited for a team to pick him up. The Lemonator getting in on Dolegala there. So 3 sacks already, just a few games into his time with Montreal. This is what he did last week in just his second game in Alouette colors. This was early too, as he gets the sack and forces the fumble.
Yeah, he was all over in this one. Another sack. He also had an interception in that ball game off the tipped ball. Sean Lemon earning that paycheck already in Montreal.
And that is the 34th different quarterback that Lemon has sacked in his remarkable career. He's up to 95 in that career. He had 14 last year with Calgary, but without a team until Montreal finally picked him up a few weeks ago. Dolegala deep down the middle again and nearly intercepted. Reggie Stubblefield there in on coverage on Stearns, and it bounces away, and we've got a third down coming up.
Another big defensive play in coverage for Reggie Stubblefield. He's had his hands on the ball at least 3 times in this ball game.
Stubblefield limps off. Riders to punt. Adam Korsak. Low, end over end. And just outside the 15. If it goes out of bounds in the air, it's got to be inside the 15. So the flag comes out and a penalty to the Riders there. Trailing 20 bins in for Cody Fajardo. Walter Fletcher getting the start with the injury to William Stanback, and he's made the most of it.
He certainly has. Walter Fletcher has established himself as a legitimate Canadian Football League back, starting caliber. Guys brings a different skill set to the table, obviously, than William Stanback. Not as big, not as powerful, but explosive bursts of speed from Fletcher, as you saw on what was the biggest offensive play of the first half.
Biggest one of the second half, a touchdown pass to Austin Mack. Previous drive. Regis Sibasu, a rare touch for him. Amari Henderson takes him down. Sibasu, though, who was a college star in these parts with Montreal, picked up his first touchdown in his CFL career last week in Hamilton.
Sibasu, great wide receiver as a member of the Montreal Carabins in his youth sports days. Transitioned to more of a fullback, H-back type. Lined up as a tight end last week. He caught that touchdown pass in Hamilton.
But a much different result there with Amari Henderson, who has a pick earlier in this game. And a takedown there for a loss of 4, and flags coming out. Flea flicker time. Fletcher put it back to Evans. Micah Johnson in pursuit as he's forced to throw that one away. The flag coming out with the snap of the ball as the Alouette offense was trying to open up its bag of tricks.
No end. Montreal. That penalty is declined. Third down.
So Alouettes lining up with only 6 men on the line of scrimmage.
Reaction from Caleb Evans there, taken down on play that didn't matter, negated anyway. Would have been by the penalty, and Joseph Zima will punt it away. And running in to get it is Alford. Close to midfield, goes back, trying to get the edge, and he can't. Alex Gundy with a tackle. Sean Lemon, the great veteran, new to the Alouettes, picking up his 3rd sack for Montreal.
Because Calvillo was the only player he was ever in awestruck of in the CFL. The two are back here in Montreal. They often walk over to the practice facility together and reminisce over CFL memories.
Great memory for Lemon, I'm sure, to have a sack on one of the greatest ever. That's Tevin Jones on that quick hitter inside and a gain of 8. But for Lemon, mentioning all the work he's done, all the different teams, actually broke in with Winnipeg, played his first ever game with Saskatchewan, but a lot of success, Dwayne, with the Calgary Stampeder.
Yeah, and a couple of different stints, of course, for Sean Lemon with a couple of those teams, Calgary being one of them. Where it all began, one of the many who posted great sack numbers over the course of his career playing opposite Charleston Hughes.
Back to Jones on the 2nd down and 4, and nowhere to go for him, and the Alouettes say the ball should be theirs. Dubois coming up with it, last to touch it before it went out of bounds, as Dubois decides to, why not, take it all the way to the house. and go through a bit of a celebration too, but Dolegala to Jones. Watch the ball. Out it comes. Last to touch it. If the knee was down before the ball came out.
It's a close one. You got to wonder if they would be willing to overturn the call made on the field.
Well,
left knee is definitely touching down there. Yeah, I think he's down before the ball is.
Looks like he is. The Alouette offensive rider defense had just come on the field. And now they're switching up again. I think they have had a change of heart because of that. Knee down before ball out. Tevin Jones. Here is the call.
After automatic review by the command center, the Saskatchewan ball player's knee was down before the fumble. Therefore, it will be 3rd down for Saskatchewan.
So they had a chance to look at that possible turnover and turned over the call. Still Saskatchewan football with Korsak on to punt it away.
That one not costing anyone a challenge, automatically reviewed by the command center as it was called a turnover on the field.
And we're going to have a pooch punt here with 3 onside down the right side, coming underneath it, and it is caught. And flags coming out. Those would be no yards flags, and those Rider players were all onside, but to no avail anyway. Hergy Mayala was there, sure-handed, to take in that short pooch punt by Adam Korsak. We've seen that play tried a couple of times, and successfully too, by teams this season.
Yeah, particularly when you get into this part of the field where there's not too much to gamble in terms of field position, not much risk. You'll see 3 players loop behind, remain behind the punter as the ball is kicked. Meaning they don't have to give yards.
There's no infraction on the play. First down.
Helps, of course, for the Alouette special teams to have someone sure-handed like receiver Hergy Mayala there in that event as he comes up with the ball. And Montreal takes over at their 44, leading 24-3.
Mayala not just sure-handed, but a Canadian player really understanding the nuances of the game.
And good size as well. It's into the hands of Tyson Philpott now. Just recently coming back after starting the season on the injured list. His third game back.
Montreal fortunate with Keon Julian Grant going down for an extended period to be getting Tyson Philpott back in the lineup. Another of those good young Canadians on this Montreal offense. Certainly Philpott, much like Julian Grant, a guy who can provide some explosive plays, make big plays off of things like hitch screens and bubble screens.
2nd and 8, deep look, right side, open receiver, but too far. That's Austin Mack. And a flag is down. Nick
Pass
Marshall.
interference. Saskatchewan, number 3. Spot on the foul. First down.
See the matchup here as the ball goes up. Not sure that there needed to be a flag on anyone on that play, quite frankly.
Now Marshall's in some disbelief. Wanted it challenged.
Yeah, understandably.
So 1st and 10. The Rider 47, Montreal, and Fletcher. They keep it on the ground. And another first down and picks up a few yards. 2nd and long coming up here for the Alouettes. Yet another flag out now in the Rider secondary.
Ten-yard misconduct foul. Saskatchewan, number 3. First down.
Now some frustration for Nick Marshall, who got flagged on the interference before and takes a misconduct foul now as the Alouettes keep moving down the field by penalty.
Yeah, it's a tough break for Nick Marshall, but as a veteran guy, you've got to know in that situation, let it go, move on to the next play. Don't double the punishment to your team.
From the Rider 32, Evans calls his number again. He's done that a few times, and he drives his way inside the Saskatchewan 25. He was showing handoff with no running back there and then took off. Gets 8 yards.
And not that one appeared to be a broken play as opposed to any kind of called quarterback run.
You see that slow-mo, it's like Micah Tights is coming in thinking, who exactly are you pretending to hand the ball off to? But he still gets 8. 2nd and 2 at the Rider 24. Short yardage, Caleb Evans, specialist, right through, first down again, inside the 20. He's had a couple of touchdowns and short yardage on this night. His first start as a member of the Montreal Alouettes.
Things really popped open for Evans a little bit on this one as they ran it like a sneak. It looked like it might turn into a much bigger gain for a moment here. You'll see the initial surge. Evans comes through. He's still on his feet as he breaks the line.
54 yards rushing, 2 of those for TDs, 144 through the air, and a couple of big passing plays, a lot of it running for Fletcher, and a big one to Austin Mack this half. Breaking it through is Jeshrin Entwistle. 10, 5, touchdown. Yards as Entwistle and the Alouettes continue to run away.
Well, and you're seeing the importance of depth in your lineup tonight for the Montreal Alouettes. Their star running back, William Stanback, out of the lineup. I believe Antwi had just broken the plane with the ball as his shoulder touched down there. But with Stanback out of the lineup, we've seen big plays from both Antwi and, of course, Walter Fletcher. The Owls don't miss a beat in terms of that ground game.
And this is just one game this season. That was a bigger story in 2022 when Stanback was injured in the season opener in Calgary, when Antwi had a big carry in that one, a big game. And later Fletcher came on as well in the season before Stanback came back. So a touchdown for Jeshrin Antwi. Adding to the onslaught for the Montreal Alouettes.
Double team on Micah Johnson on the nose. And who breaks the line of scrimmage before bouncing it outside.
The Alouettes are 3 for 3 in the red zone inside the 20 in this game tonight. That one 19 yards away. As Antwi urges them on into the end zone for a little more celebration. And he's right back out there on special teams for kickoff coverage. Mario Alford stands back. It is a 31-3 game now. Montreal. And once again, it is Thomas Bertrand-Hudon, who's just east of Montreal, getting his second kick return. Went to Delaware State, and then drafted by the Saskatchewan Roughriders. But this is a homecoming for him as well. Thomas Bertrand-Hudon from Mount Saint-Hilaire, just east of Montreal.
There'll be a couple more former current Delaware State players in the Canadian draft next spring. So they've recruited this part of the country pretty well in recent years.
Sean Bain, CFL's leading receiver, coming in to Week 10, but this has been a different kind of night for Bain, who was targeted there for the 6th time, his 4th reception. You see what he's done. Yes, the fire rises for Sean Bain. 47 catches. The receiving yards also first in the Canadian Football League. Flag out. That one goes to Emelis right at midfield. Be enough for a first down on that 2nd and short.
Offside, Montreal, number 9. It's a 5-yard penalty, first down.
So Jamal Davis is called on the offside. There's Davis Alexander, the thrust into the backup role, presumably, even though Cody Fajardo was dressed for this game and talking to Jason Moss, who is really, under these circumstances at quarterback, presuming the injury, of course, to Fajardo was not that bad, is getting the best case scenario with his backup, Caleb Evans, playing, and with them now leading this game 31-3.
Yeah, and getting the much needed boost from those guys we talked about in the backfield, Antwi and Fletcher. Each of them having a pretty good night tonight to take a little bit of pressure off Caleb Evans. And Evans, of course, escaping the heat himself, using his own legs in this one.
There's Fajardo and Evans talking things over. And let's not forget a Saskatchewan team that already lost Trevor Harris and earlier lost Mason Fine and will not be back in this game. Jake Dolegala handing off to Morrow. Finds some room and gets down close to the Montreal 35. Another good carry by Morrow.
Offensive line, Furlan did a nice job there, getting up to the 2nd level, working off the double team. Saw the burst of Jamal Morrow.
17 more for Jamal Morrow. Late third quarter and a 1st and 10. It's batted at the line and nearly picked off by Mustafa Johnson. There was pressure in and hands got up. Like Lemon got in there, and Johnson had a shot at it.
Johnson laying out to try and go get that one after it was tipped up in the air. A couple of unblocked defenders off the edge, I believe Beverett and Sutton.
Last play, third quarter. Riders in a deep hole, and there's a deep pass and a look for Bain near the end zone, but there step for step is Wesley Sutton right with Sean Bain as we hit three-quarter time in what is a very one-sided game right now at Molson Stadium. Jake Dolegala in at quarterback for the Riders since the injury to Mason Fine. Caleb Evans getting the start with the injury to Cody Fajardo and having a pretty good show with it, with them leading now by 28. And the only one that matters really now at the top, and it's complete and utter dominance by the Montreal Alouettes so far as they open up their lead. Wayne.
Yeah, and it has all started with the running game for Montreal in this football game. Is they've sort of built a game plan around the fact that they're playing with their backup quarterback. They've been conservative. They've kind of played to Caleb Evans' strengths, which are things built off the running game, letting him move around and get involved in that a little bit. And it's obviously been very successful for them. And the fact that Saskatchewan's offense on the other side of it just has not been able to sustain drives at all in this ball game.
And Montreal has a big division game next week against the Ottawa Redblacks, who play in Toronto on Sunday. A field goal try for Brett Lawther coming up here. 44-yard attempt. Corsack putting it down, and Lawther putting it through. And 3 more points on the board. Points at a premium for Saskatchewan on this night. As Lawther goes 2 for 2. Mentioned Craig Dickinson's success. Well, for one thing, against the Alouettes since 2018, before he became head coach, they've won 5 of 6 against Montreal. They only lost here a year ago, but Dickinson 4-1 against the Alouettes. Jeremy O'Day, general manager, vice president of operations as well for Saskatchewan Roughriders on a long night here in Montreal. But they had been winning those games that were close, but they're not having that tonight. Down by 25 as the quarter is underway. Final quarter, and that's Walter Fletcher.
Anticipate even more the ground and pound from the Montreal Alouettes in the fourth quarter of this one. Certainly not an insurmountable lead in the world of Canadian football, but a lead with which they have to be feeling pretty comfortable the way this game has unfolded so far.
Fletcher 62 rushing, 68 receiving. Very good night getting his second start. And some pressure there as Anthony Lanier couldn't quite get Evans, who is able to keep his feet and throw it away.
A couple of close escapes for Caleb Evans here. The reverse pivot out not once but twice. Keeping his feet there and then making a heads-up play. Just throw that one out of bounds.
Joseph Zima. Mario Alford inside the Rider 15. Not much there after a punt of 51. They've had the returners, both of these teams, in control most of this game. Our Coors Light moment of chill. The Alouettes are just about in chill mode now. This before the game. There's Austin Mack.
Yeah, a little juggling, working that hand-eye coordination.
Kate Burness would appreciate that, by the way. She can juggle.
Well, Kate used to actually work in a circus.
Austin Mack, if you call that a circus catch, no, but still a rare one for him, and it's a big one. Just over Micah Tights and takes it in. So relaxing and juggling before the game, and then he gets that catch, gets into the end zone. Coors Light moment of chill. Jake Dolegala, and that's complete to Emilus, and a first down for the Riders up at their 40.
A nice strike there thrown by Dolegala to get the fourth quarter going for Saskatchewan. Mentioned earlier, Emilus, first round pick, 7th overall for the Riders in 2022. Finished up his college career at Louisiana Tech after starting off University of Massachusetts.
Alouettes bringing some heat, taking them down. Ball comes out, and it is into the hands of Tyrese Beverett and into the Saskatchewan end zone for another Alouette touchdown. And it goes from bad to worse for the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
Al's defense just kept Saskatchewan in check all night, takes it a step further here. Take a look. First at the hit. Beverett with the scoop and score.
As the celebration continues for the Montreal Alouettes, adding a defensive touchdown, as Cote looks to add the 38th point. Jake Dolegala took over from Mason Fine, but it's been rough going for him and the Rider offense. The Alouettes make them pay again. Beverett the touchdown, yes. That kind of night for the green and white.
Ellis coming off the edge is one of those who gets in on the play to strip the ball from quarterback Jake Dolegala. Wesley Sutton the other. Tyrese Beverett picks up the fumble, and the former Hamilton Tiger Cat is in for a defensive touchdown.
And stays on for kickoff coverage as well. 38-6. Complete dominance by the Montreal Alouettes. 11:45 in the fourth quarter. Alford. He does get the edge. Has some room. And he gets it up across the 35 towards the 40. After a 33-yard return for Mario Alford. So back comes Jake Dolegala. Thrust into duty late in the first half. He is 8 for 15, 69 yards, and has thrown an interception. That limited time a couple of weeks ago in Halifax and touchdown at Lennox, coming on for Fine, and was 4 for 5 and threw a touchdown pass in that game. He had one start last year for the Riders. There's Mason Fine, who had taken over the #1 job after the injury to Trevor Harris and done for the night. He was favoring his right leg on a non-contact play when he went down late in the half. So a pickup of 7 more for Morrow. And frustrating for Fine, who was coming off his first victory as a starter in the Canadian Football League last week in their win over the Ottawa Redblacks. This is what happened in the first half.
They're rolling out with that football on the sprint. You know, and I'm not convinced necessarily that the hamstring is what caused him to go down. I think he was going to slide regardless, and then kind of realized that he had tweaked something.
Well, dumped off to Tevin Jones, who was wrapped up by J.R. Reed and just kept chugging. He kept his feet going and ends up with a first down across midfield for the Riders.
Well, Tevin Jones, the big receiver in this Saskatchewan lineup. 6'2", about 225 pounds, and you saw him using that size to fight for extra yardage after the catch.
To the Alouette 53. Just over 10 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, and it is Bertrand Houdon, the rookie. Picked up in the draft by the Roughriders, went to Delaware State as mentioned, but this is a homecoming for him from just east of Montreal, and he gets his first carry.
Bertrand Hudon wearing the exact position at where he was selected, 30th overall in the 2023 draft.
And a gain of 18 yards for the rookie, who was slow to get up after that carry and gets a little pat on the helmet from Jamal Morrow, who's back in this game. So giving the rookie a taste of the action here in a game with the Riders behind by so much and under 10 minutes to play. From the Montreal 35, back to the ground, nothing doing. Another rookie, Montreal Alouettes, coming in to add to the Rider losses.
Alouettes, number 96. Coming in from the left side of your screen. Quick slip to the inside. Getting into the backfield to break that up. Alouettes. Edmontonian. Started his college career at UConn before transferring. Joined that TCU juggernaut for his senior season.
On a 2nd and 12 after the loss, it goes back to Morrow, who gets close to a first down. Needed to get to around the 25 and picks up 11, so it looks like they'll just be a little bit shy on a 3rd down coming up.
Threes aren't going to help them at this point. A 3rd and short situation. Definitely a logical gamble for Saskatchewan at this stage of the game.
Well, he needed one. He got it. Not much more, but it is a first down as this drive will continue for the Riders. They host the BC Lions next week, while the Alouettes will travel to Ottawa. And we do wonder, that'll be another one of those quarterback stories for Saskatchewan about Mason Fine. Dolegala in since then. Tough time with injuries in that position for Saskatchewan, especially. Jones can't hang on. 2nd down.
Well, where it becomes a tough situation at quarterback for Saskatchewan, obviously with Trevor Harris out already. If Mason Fine is going to be out for more than a week or a couple of weeks. Jake Dolegala has been there a couple of years, and you know you can put together a game plan to give him a chance to get you through a game. But you then become so limited beyond that if Dolegala is struggling or if Dolegala gets hurt.
He completes it there inside the 10. It is Stearns in his 2nd CFL game, and a flag comes out as he's taken down. A gain of 18 yards for Stearns.
Unnecessary roughness, horse collar tackle. Montreal, number 29. Half the distance to the goal, first down.
J.R. Reed flagged for that tackle on Jarrett Stearns.
Yeah, you saw the right hand. Didn't really yank down with it, but the official spotting that right hand on the top of the nameplate as the tackle was made.
And with that, this is as close to the end zone as the Saskatchewan Roughriders have gotten tonight, as they have a 1st and goal inside the 5. It is down to the Alouette 3 for Jake Dolegala. Midway through the quarter, Morrow nowhere to run. They've even lost a yard, depending on where they spot the ball. Tough running inside against this Alouette front in that situation. Call it no gain and a 2nd and goal. This is the 10th play of the drive. Handing off again. And not much better as we have 3rd down coming up. A little pushing there with Logan Ferland and Mustafa Johnson after the fact as well. That carries on for a bit. and some words too.
Watching the first couple plays of this particular series of downs, the inside handoffs to Jamal Morrow, you can see that the Montreal defense is feeling no threat of Dolegala keeping the ball or any other sort of backfield action that's going to threaten the outside, so they're able to crash down on Morrow.
Riders are looking for a touchdown. Third down, no. Flag is out. Morrow just tosses it back to Dolegala, who ends up getting taken down by Stubblefield. So we'll await the call here, as the flag did come out early. But Morrow, in desperation, was hit right away in that 3rd and goal at the 1. Tried to make something of it.
We'll see if this flag lets the Riders off the hook.
This could give Saskatchewan a new set of downs, just waiting for the
Offside.
call.
Montreal, number 29. Unnecessary roughness, misconduct foul. Montreal, number 93. It'll be first down for Saskatchewan at the 1-yard line.
So J.R. Reed offside. Marcus Valdez, new Alouette, is called for the UR.
Well, you may feel the effects of it less so in a game that you're leading 38-6. The fact is,
Dolegala keeps, and the Riders finally get into the end zone.
and when you're Montreal and Noel Thorpe, when you've got a team off the field, it frustrates you, especially when you played a game where you hadn't allowed a touchdown, to basically give them a 4th chance from in tight to score that. I know Noel Thorpe will be a little disappointed in the penalties that created this, but Saskatchewan doing what they need to do if they're going to have any chance in this ball game, even at these longest of odds.
Dolegala gets the lone Saskatchewan touchdown to this point, and they'll go for 2. Batted away by Stubblefield. So just the 6. So no for the 2-point conversion for the Riders, who did have an impressive drive downfield, aided with some penalties, and then capped off with the Dolegala keeper. But Saskatchewan coming off a touchdown and trailing 38-12 with 5.5 minutes to go here at Molson Stadium. Chandler Worthy on the return, and he has taken down Justin Herdman Reed. The special teams tackle just inside the Montreal 40. So Caleb Evans called into duty after the injury to Cody Fajardo, preventing him from getting the start, and looking at picking up a win in his first Alouette start. That game, and they could tighten the West too, with Montreal appearing to be on its way to a victory over Saskatchewan. Calgary coming in at 3-5 off a big win over the Argos last week. So it's a carry of 11 for Walter Fletcher, and BC coming off a loss in Winnipeg, a decisive one last week. So week 10 continues. It'll wrap up on Sunday with the Argos hosting the Ottawa Redblacks, Caleb Evans' old team, with his new team, and a nice debut as a starter for him, filling in for Cody Fajardo.
This is what you ask your backup quarterback to do, is basically manage the game. Get the ball in the hands of your playmakers, let them make plays, keep it simple.
On the toss, Jesh Renantwi. He has a touchdown in this second half, his first of the season, and that's a 9-yard pickup for the product of the University of Calgary Dinos. He's had one. Austin Mack has had one in a big play, and Evans 2, and a defensive touchdown by Beverett.
Impressive performance here for the Montreal Alouettes. All 3 phases of the game.
So they're at 2nd and short again. Evans has only thrown the ball 12 times in this game, 7 of 12. Been a lot of this short yardage as he stays in for it and gets the first down up across inside the Rider 50. 3:34 and counting in this fourth quarter.
Jason Moss there communicating with his quarterback via headset.
Smiles now even for Fajardo there, and Davis Alexander, another backup quarterback. Antwi still in at running back. 1st and 10, he has the ball. And that should be it before the 3-minute warning as they whistle that down. A.J. Allen in there to stop him, and C.J. Rivas too. All Montreal at McGill tonight. 38-12. Final minutes to a record of 5-3. 2 points behind the Argos, who have the game in hand and also play against the Ottawa Redblacks coming up Sunday night. Ottawa and Hamilton both at 3-5. So for Jason Moss, and looking at a 3-game winning streak after coming out of the bye for his Alouettes. 2 weeks ago against Calgary, last week impressive fourth quarter in Hamilton to beat the Ticats again, and then this very impressive game against Saskatchewan when they were missing a couple of key players, and Cody Fajardo and William Stanback, and Caleb Evans has been a part of that. Really cliche as it sounds, team effort doing this by committee. Big plays all around for Montreal.
Yeah, exactly. As I suggested before, it's not necessarily about Evans having to make the toughest throws for them to win this football game, but make good decisions with the football, spread it around, use your legs to keep plays alive and keep drives alive, and protect the football. Outside of that interception in the end zone, Evans has done a pretty good job of that.
On first down, Saskatchewan 37. The gentle toss out to Philpott as Rivas takes him down as he picks up a few more. 2nd down coming up. As for the West and Craig Dickinson, excuse me, the roller coaster for Dickinson and the Riders after the dramatic win last week, set to fall to 4-5, so still ahead of the Stampeders, who play the Lions tomorrow night in Vancouver. And a big one, well, big implications as mentioned in the West Division for that. But of greater concern, big picture for Dickinson, is another lost quarterback. We don't know how Mason Fine is done for this game with a right leg injury, but of course a month ago losing Trevor Harris to a knee injury, and it's been difficult, that position in particular for Saskatchewan. On the 2nd and 5 and a gain of 2. About a minute and a half to go on the clock. And for Caleb Evans, rejuvenated here in Montreal after really, I don't want to say running out of chances in Ottawa, but he had them he had to be thrown into the fire in 2021 because of so many quarterback injuries, and it was a similar story last year. So this time coming to Montreal as a free agent, as a clear understudy to Cody Fajardo, and is pushed into action tonight when they decided a game time decision that Fajardo couldn't go.
Caleb Evans making the most of the opportunity tonight, getting those reps, leading his team to apparent victory. Barring 4 consecutive Milt Stiegel Hail Marys.
Montreal.
Yeah, Kevin Glenn to Milt Stiegel in Edmonton. That's what year that was, but that's
memorable.
But that is that's the textbook play when you're down and out, and you're definitely done. And you know, broadcasters might be putting up the standings then, thinking it's over, and all of a sudden,
Gold standard of comebacks.
As our friend Chris Cuthbert said on that call, never forget that. Are you kidding me? This is unbelievable. But that was within one score. Got a much bigger difference here that the Riders have been dealing with for quite some time here in Montreal. As the Alouettes opened it up, 2007. Producer Chris Edwards telling us. It was in Edmonton last night for the Elks and the Bombers. And that big Winnipeg comeback led by Drew Brown.
Drew Brown looked terrific as we talk about the developing of backup quarterbacks in this league. Guy who's had an opportunity to sit and learn from good veteran and great coaches for a couple of years and looking ready when called into duty.
So what happens next week? There's Shea Patterson, another quarterback, ex-Alouette, by the way. He was Trevor Harris's backup here in Montreal 2 years ago. We're going on the USFL last year. Patterson with the Riders and been the number 3 with Trevor Harris's injury behind Dolegala and Fine. As said, not knowing the extent of Mason Fine's injury be the question next week as they get set to host the BC Lions is what the quarterback story will be for Saskatchewan. (41-12). And Alford. And out of bounds. Mason Fine. Just a month into his time as the starting quarterback for Saskatchewan after the injury to Harris and coming off his first career win. And as said, we can't speculate, no idea. His night ended in the first half. We don't know the extent of the injury.
And obviously we hope that's not too serious.
Absolutely.
For Mason Fine, no doubt.
Under a minute to go. Jamal Morrow.
For Fine getting an opportunity and yeah, obviously experiencing some ups and downs as a young quarterback in the league, but getting that all-important chance to play. You know, it's got to be frustrating for him to be missing out on these reps.
.37 seconds and counting. Terrell Richards coming in on Morrow. And a good night in general for this Alouette defense. Former first overall draft pick, Noel Thorpe's D. Just on the ground again to just about do it.
A very convincing effort for the Montreal Alouettes without a couple of their most critical offensive pieces. Caleb Evans, nothing spectacular, but turning in a solid performance. Guiding the offense, Walter Fletcher, Jeshron Antwi. Strong contributions in the run game in the absence.
And a smile from Jason Moss as the Alouettes scored early, scored often, and really never lost control of this game against a Saskatchewan Roughrider team that struggled and lost another quarterback. And that man, Caleb Evans, standing in impressively when they decided Cody Fajardo could not go.